Adventurers, we are out at a very special place today. It's about 30 some odd degrees. It's cold as all get out, and snow still left on the ground driving in. We are in Fort Sumner, New Mexico at a special place that we're fixing to go tour and check out, bring a little bit of it to you. We are at Billy the Kid's museum. And we're going to go inside, check it out, see what we can learn about Billy the Kid. He was a outlaw from the West, very young in his day. Go ahead and check him out on the Wikipedia. There's a lot of good information out there. But we're going to learn some things on the inside here, and hopefully we'll be able to do some filming in the inside. And just hang loose, and we'll be back with you shortly. Just a real quick shot of the front, Explorers. We've got old plow. Old rail car, some kind of cool old sign there, and some other things along the front. Looks like some petrified wood and some big rocks and farm implements and everything. We're checking out on the inside.
Over to Pecos, Santa Fe, down through Bernalillo, Albuquerque, Los Lunas, and west. That's on Highway 6 there. It is now 6. I don't know what it used to be. But anyway, Governor Hannett was the governor in Santa Fe, and evidently he made politicians mad. So they run another man against him and beat him out, but he had 90 days before he had to relinquish office. So there was a road running through the canyon east of Albuquerque to Moriarty. He put a work crew there, and a work crew right west of Santa Rosa told the ranchers, we're going to build a highway through here, we'll settle with you later, and they said okay. Now you couldn't do that today.
No, not at all.
Take 10, 20 years, you know. Well, he almost had it completed when Governor Dillon took office. Governor Dillon appointed his highway engineer and told him, go down and stop that project. Well, it come a big snow in Santa Fe about that time, and he didn't get out for 3 more days. So He got down there, and they just liked about a mile or so having it done. And they was just driving across the pastures anyway, and that's called Hannett's Revenge.
Interesting.
And I knew Governor Dillon. My dad, he had a little mercantile over here at Encino. And once in a while I'd get to go with my dad, and we'd stop there and he'd visit with Governor Dillon. They were good friends.
Well, I tell you, it sounds like you've got a lot of history.
Well, we have some here, you know, and over here is my grandmother and grandfather's marriage certificate from 1890. My grandfather froze a foot and leg when he was 10 years old working in a lumber camp back in Michigan there. So even though he was grown, it was still hurt. So after work, he was in a cafe one night, and some geologists had actually been to Melrose, New Mexico, 35 miles east here. And they was talking about how good it looked for oil and gas and everything. So he got to talking to them, and they told him, well, man, you ought to go out there. You can get free land and everything. He only had a 40-acre farm back there, and he could get probably 320 acres out here. You know, thought that might be a good deal. So he came out on the train in 1906 to Melrose and got off. It had 30 inches of rain. Grass was belly high to a horse. Hadn't been overgrazed or anything. Looked perfect. So he went back and sold his farm near Applegate, Michigan. Loaded out on the depot, and come out on the train to Melrose in 1907. And in 1933, when last part of 33, I was about 9 months old. My folks moved from Melrose to Fort Sumner, and Dad had a second-hand store here. And right here is where my dad opened up the museum as Fort Sumner Museum, October 1st, 1952. He was having a hard time paying the propane bill at 6 cents a gallon. So 90 days later, he changed it to Billy the Kid Museum. He gives me the thumbs up, said, man, that is going to work. Next 90 days was worse. January, February, and March, no one was on the road. And not everybody got a vacation in those days, and those people that did got probably 1 week and took it in the summertime. Dad was doing so well, he went to the bank and wanted to build gift shop and living quarters right in front of that first building. The bank wouldn't loan it to him, didn't think his business was going to make it. So he got it from an individual at 8 or 9%, got that paid off. The banker called him in one day and said, "Now Ed, if you ever need any money, just let us know." He said, "Where were you when I needed you?" He said, "I don't need you now. If I want to do a project, I'll just wait till next year and save my money." So we have next year projects all the way through this place.
Interesting.
Never borrowed any money from the bank.
Wow. That's an interesting story.
Here is the train order, tells the trains to stop for 1 minute for President Kennedy's funeral. All the trains in the United States stopped at 10 a.m. on November 25th, 1963.
3 years before I was born.
Well, you know, I tell stories, and young guys like you always come up and say, "Gee, I wasn't even born then," so it kind of ruined my tale. Now, here is a petrified turtle. It's cut in two, and you can see his head, his heart, and his stomach. Little terrapin that's petrified. There's deer hooves that's petrified. Dad found those when I was in high school, and I asked him, "What caused those to petrify?" He said, "That's an easy question." I said, "It is?" He said, "Oh yeah." So they stopped too long in one place. He always had an easy answer.
It sounds like he's got a good sense of humor too.
Now, we have a register book, and we just do things about halfway here, you know.
From the waist down, looks like.
And where are you from?
Originally Huntsville, Alabama, living in Louisville, Kentucky right now.
Oh my. Well, you know, out here in New Mexico, we have refried beans. You know why we have refried beans?
I don't know, but I sure do love them.
Well, we can't do anything right the first time.
I tell you, you got a good sense of humor. I like you.
Fort Sumner was named after General Sumner. There's his blanket, cash box, sword belt, and picture. General Sumner was wounded in the Battle of Antietam and died from the wounds, so this building the fort here to hold the Indians prisoner during the Civil War. They went pretty wild when they found out the Civil War was going on, and they rounded up about 7,000 Indians here and held them here during the Civil War, and then turned them loose to go back home. And of course, I think they all had to walk, or nobody had. They didn't have enough vehicles to carry them. There's the post office from the fort, brass kettles from the fort, items on the desk were from the fort.
Wasn't a lot of people living here in the other day when that post office box was being used, was it?
It's just the military here. And then General Sumner had two sons in the military, and Edwin here on the left took command of the 7th Cavalry after Custer and his troops were wiped out at the Battle of Little Bighorn. Samuel, his brother, took the 6th Cavalry. Both of them retired as brigadier generals. The Bighorns come out of the Buckhorn Saloon in San Antonio, Texas, when they sold out the Lone Star Brewery to make a museum that had extra horns. Mr. Dudley from Brownwood bought them and sold some to my dad. This pair right here is South America, is Watusi from Africa and Longhorn mix. We have some over this door over here. They're South American and Longhorn mix. Old back bar over there come out of the Central Bar in Tucumcari, New Mexico.
Fascinating.
And we got odds and ends in there like camel patch and monkey grip patch, and first one thing and another. Didn't want to throw those little items away. They're of some interest.
Wow. What do you think the oldest thing that you've got in the museum is?
Well, we have people like it, you know. Started 67 years here.
In a 9/11 remembrance patch. That's cool.
There's a flyer for cockfight service Saturday night at the Pink Pony. You can see it a little better when I open it up. Cockfight service Saturday night at the Pink Pony. Phone tie band 2. That was the last place you could buy booze going east, so coming this way on Friday and Saturday night out of Texas, it was a dangerous road. They was lucky to be on the right side of the road, much less dim the lights, you know.
I'll tell you, you got a neat place here.
And here is Lucien Maxwell's painting. It's water damage. They didn't know the storeroom was leaking. Lucien Maxwell was a mountain man. He was with Fremont when they captured California. Him and Kit Carson came back to Cimarron, New Mexico, and drove 5,000 head of sheep right back to California. Only took 4 months. And then later he married into the Bobian Miranda Spanish land grant, used the money he made off the sheep to buy the other heirs out. Later he sells out, and it took 6 years to survey it, had boundary disputes and all. And when they got through, he figured out they had 1.7 million acres. Wow. Then the other relatives that he bought out, their light went on. We got robbed, you stole our land. He said, no, I bought it. There's a Coke from Coke Industry paid $2.3 million for that little tin type several years ago. Let me show you, this is my dad's items here. And my dad's bolo, you can see there, I'm wearing it. It's a $20 gold piece, 1881, same year Billy the Kid was killed, and that's the reason he had it made up. He was very proud of it. And his pocket knives and a few things. And let me show you on this side over here. This is a picture of my mother. She did the painting.
Beautiful lady.
And right to the left of that picture is 54 years perfect Sunday school attendance from the church. And I told the pastor, okay, for 55, I'm going to buy her a plaque, and you can give it to her next year. And so I bought her a plaque for 55 years.
That is cool.
Now there's a picture of my mother and dad. I used to look like my mother till I got old, and then I kind of looked like my dad.
And who is this gentleman right here?
This is Tommy Irwin. My mother gave this Bible to him when he got promoted to another class, and wrote him a letter in the front of it, and he loaned me the Bible, and he's going to be here in about 30 minutes to relieve me for lunch.
Got you. I bet you're ready for lunch now, aren't you?
Well, every once in a while. This is laid out like history happened. Got the Croquet Kid picture behind the saddle over there, and to the left is a picture that's got Pat Garrett, Barney Mason, Arkansas, Dave Rudeball, Billy the Kid, and Chavis at Chavis. And it's going to be a high dollar picture too. It came Secretary in Root was with Roosevelt when he come out and appointed Garrett Customs Inspector at El Paso, and evidently Garrett gave that picture to Secretary Root because it was in his family's possessions it ended up in an antique store in North Carolina for sale, and it's going to be a high dollar picture. And the Croquet Kid picture back there is
okay. And you fixing to take off, or?
Well, I've got some customers in here.
And your name?
Don Sweet.
Mr. Sweet, it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Go down
and go ahead and check out the museum.
Go down in the gun room. You'll see this, and then that second yellow rope will lead you down in the gun room. Billy's items are in the middle room on the left-hand side. Then there's room circles. That has Winchesters on the far side, and there's the yellow boy on that far side.
Sounds good.
When you come out of there, take a left, go out that storm door in the corner, follow the yellow ropes and arrows. Don't give up. Just come through the car room and into back to the gift shop.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it.
All right.
Adventures, as you heard it, the man that knows all about Billy the Kid, knows all about the area here. I'm gonna kind of quieten down. I'm just gonna walk around and shoot some of this for you, let you take a look at it. Hope you enjoyed that little time with Mr. Sweet. Saddle bloated Jesus Silva. Jesus was Billy's friend, who was also a pallbearer at the kid's funeral. Very old safe. Coroner's inquest on the death of Billy the Kid, written in Spanish. Little theater doesn't look like it's up and going right now. Last picture that was ever surfaced of Billy the Kid and friends. I'm telling you how old this thing is, Explorers. Key goes to the safe below. Funeral service. One mock set up here. We've got a adult barber chair, a kid's barber chair, telephone switchboard that was used in White Oaks, New Mexico. All the barbering implements. It's odd, those plugs have the weights on the bottom there, you can see. But they'd retract automatically when you disconnected the call. Gambler's table converts from table to a chair. Another old safe. School desk. We're walking through the screen door you talked about. And look at this old Bell telephone office placard. Old telephones of some style there. Aluminum nameplates you can make for whatever purpose you wanted them. Some kind of critter here with multiple legs growing out of itself. On farm implements. Big old traps. Hand tools. Another, looks like possibly a dentist chair. This place just keeps going and going, Explorers. Old medical equipment, an undertaker's bag. This will pan around and let you see what we're looking at through these glasses here. Hair dryer, patented 1925. Coffee grinders and such, and scales. So some kind of mixers. This is a leather corner. All the old saddles. And we're fixing to learn something. I mentioned in one of my earlier videos about devil's rope. And this is a good place to do it, Explorers. Then the Billy the Kid Museum. And just take a moment here to think about when we were taming the Wild West and we had thousands upon millions of acres out in the West that we wanted to control and keep the animals, the farm animals controlled and not just free roaming and everything. There's no physical way to actually build fences back in those days on this ginormous amount of property acreage that we were looking at. So they came up with an idea and they called it devil's rope back in the old early settlers days. And it later became known as barbed wire. And we're going to flip around here and look at an example of devil's rope. And if you look, think of a devil's rope and a brand as something that's very, very similar. I'm going to zoom in here as close as I can to some of it. Most barbed wire today is very, very similar. There's not much difference in barbed wire today versus as it was in the old days when it was called devil's rope. Each and every farm used a specific kind. And we can zoom in and look at the sharp points on all of these. And this is how they tame the Wild West. Keep the animals under control and section off property and everything. So that's a quick little lesson on devil's rope. Hope you enjoyed that little quick history lesson. And now we're going to move on into something that was really interesting to me. We're walking into a room that's got all sorts of typewriters and cameras and all sorts of interesting things, old radios. So we're going to pan around here, explorers, and let you see it. We're starting off with this cabinet right here in the corner that looks like it was probably used in a medical office at one time. Skimming around and looking at some of these old cameras, all the way from Polaroids, the one button camera I remember very, very well. Some of the first Instamatic cameras that immediately printed you a picture of and you sat there and waved it back and forth till it developed. Kodak, Polaroid, some of the old medium format style cameras, lens hoods, movie cameras, movie projectors, box cameras, the old Brownie. I remember hearing stories about those. That was some of the early cameras. You simply put the film in and clicked a button, the shutter button for just a second, and it would take you a picture. And look at all those old small ones up on top. Even a Time camera. I remember you used to order a Time magazine, you got a free camera. Some of the original projecting systems, and an enlarger. I remember using those in my photography classes. Underwood typewriters. Underwood again, Remington. Woodstock. Radios. More typewriters. Old telephones. And man, I tell you, look at these old irons. Mostly old radios would not only tune the AM and later FM, but they'd also get your shortwave band and sometimes local police channels and everything. It's pretty cool. That's a prime example of the one that we're looking at right there. That's got multiple dials on it, and even has presets. That was something neat. Old milk bottles, wash basin pans and pitchers. Old accordion. Union Carbide. Getting in some toys here. Look at that old sewing machine. Old kids' toys and dump trucks and cement mixers. Some kind of Radio Junior or something. I'm not sure what that is. Old clocks. Lucasfilm Limited. 1980 Kenner products. Star Wars toy. Old Glory, shining in their glory. Walking out of this, we're going to walk into another little area here. Like we're dealing with railroad stuff here. Santa Fe, Frisco, Porky Pig. Old water ladle. Got some kind of nails with numbers on them. Probably some way these are used in the building of the railroads to signify. Look at that old phonograph there that used the cylindrical disc instead of a record like you use today. It's called a graphophone. Very, very popular in the old days. And you had speakers, you had this basically a megaphone that amplified the sound. Some of the earlier turntables there with the big needles that would play the old 78 RPM records. Explorers, this place is huge. It look as big outside as it does inside, but it is. We've got all sorts of stuff back through here. Very, very well done museum. Grinding wheel there. Old stove. And more wood stoves here. Wish they were fired up today, it'd be a lot warmer back here. It's cold. Replica of San Miguel mission built in 16 and 22 in Santa Fe, New Mexico. More safes. More stoves. Walking back into this area here, we've got all sorts of machines of different kinds. And a very nice display of old wash kettles and wagons of different styles and different kinds. Hope y'all are enjoying this as much as I am. Old Maytag washing machine. Remember my grandmother had one of those. Old Fort Sumner tractor. Get a little side view of this. You can tell this is old because this actually used a 6-volt battery. Each one of these is about 1.5 volts cell. So it has 3, so it would have been a 6-volt. Didn't even have real tires on it. It had metal treads as tires. A little mock-up of, I guess, Billy the Kid's house back here. More outdoor exhibits. Walking back by some big wagons here as we go. This is the thing you always hear about stagecoaches. This is a actual true stagecoach that looks like it was used as a hearse. Got the viewing window in the side here. They had to pull this along the way, and instead of it being in a motorized hearse like what we have today, is a horse-drawn hearse. Look at all that intricate detail on the coach itself. Imagine building something like that today. This is a nice covered wagon. A little shot of the inside. That's what you would have taken across the west. Walking back out of this area and back into the warmth, hopefully. Just look at all those old lanterns as we skim by. I remember using those as a kid. Put some kerosene or lamp oil in them. Don't turn them up too high because you get jumped because of smoking the globe up. Pulleys. Like some ironworking equipment, an old anvil. Scales. Little ice melting outside from the snow we recently had here in this area of New Mexico. And we're walking back into the actual museum here. Oh, Explorers, it feels so much better in here. All sorts of stuff. Dishware and glassware, kitchenware area. And my grandparents had a lot of this kind of glassware. Real popular back in the days to have the colored glass called impressionware, if I remember correctly. And this is a little area right here. We got some firearms. Some pistols and More saddles with the bullets. And we have Winchester, Marlin, spurs. Very, very old rifles here, back in the carbine days, 18 and 52 and 18 and 58s. Springfield, which became Springfield Arms. Colt, Navy revolver. Winchesters, still around today. Old double barrel shotgun. Walking out of the gun area, we got some pottery. And even a skull from some critter back in the day. Arrowheads. More pottery. Picking back up, we've got all these pistols. More rifles that I've never heard of. More arrowheads. This curtain hung over the door where Billy the Kid was killed. And this is a famous place right here. This is Billy the Kid's actual rifle. Can you imagine the history of this? You've got the sheath above that would have been carried on the side of the horse. Billy the Kid's pistol and holster with bullet holders on the side. More pistols and knives. Coming back out of the gun area, we're moving into another section here. Old furniture. And I've always liked these old clocks. Absolutely beautiful. And the intricate details that they put into stuff back in these days. Old, probably a organ here. I don't think she probably plays anymore. No, there's no playing in this organ anymore. Barbie dolls. Ken dolls. Old baby kitty toy here. Stroller. Some kind of clay figure found in the cave near Silver City, New Mexico. Arrowheads and knives. More kerosene lamps. And the safety steamer lamps that would have been used on the early cars and possibly trains back in the day. Shaving set used in the 1800s. Steins. Look at these cool kitty shoes. In a cast iron toy stove. Hearse lamp. Might have been used on something similar to what we saw in the back area of the horse-drawn hearse. Old wall clock. Scary looking fellow right here. Well, Adventures, looks like we finished the museum up.
Well, the storm door there's more.
Yes, sir, I did. I went out there and looked.
Car room?
Yes, sir. The car room,
Yeah.
I did not see a car ring.
All right.
I thought I went through all of it.
This door right back here in the corner,
Okay.
go through there and you'll see the cars.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We just been informed there's a car room. And as we walk through, just look at all of the souvenirs and things that we can buy here in the gift shop. There's more and more stuff than we know what to do with here. Oh, these are beautiful. Spirit angels. Wind chimes. Puzzles. Wooden toys. Cups. All right, we are in another area, explorers, that I did not even know existed. It's a car and memorabilia museum. We're gonna walk around it a little bit and look at it. We even got motorcycles. Old gas station signs, filling station signs. How drugs. Drugstore sign. Old license tags. Wagons, toy wagons hanging from the ceiling. And this is a cool little section right here. Wrenches. Old radio. I remember those radios very well. It says something on top, instant sound. Has a new thing that you instantly turned your radio on and you had sound. That's called solid state. Moved away from vacuum tube so you didn't have any warm up. It just came on automatically for you. Old Ford Model A manuals. Dead reckoning computer that was used for calculations of altitudes and aviation days. Explorers, this is one of the best stops I've made so far on this pilgrimage. Looks like we've got a Vassar. No, excuse me, a 1954 Kaiser Manhattan. Beautiful vehicle. Let me get back here a little way so you can see it. Let's look at those sweeping lines. You don't see this in manufacturers of cars today. Look at the inside of that. That's just gorgeous. Guess the golf cart kind of works its way in. It's a pretty purple. 1926 touring car. Made by my favorite Ford manufacturer. Look at those, that front of that car. Old hand crank start. Pretty normal back in those days. 1923 Chevrolet touring car. 1923 Model T Ford truck. Imagine this is what the modern day F-150s started out as. And this was a flatbed. And it's definitely flatbedded full of stuff, explorers. Old license tags, some kind of old heater looks like. Pretty freaking awesome. Let's look at the inside of that. That was simplistic back in the day. You had an on-off switch and some kind of gauge. 1917 Ford truck. Fort Sumner New Mexico fire apparatus. 1952 Willys Aerolark. Let's look at that car. Look at the dash of it. Not a lot of bells and whistles on the cars back in these days. Central service station to Texaco and Magnolia Gas, cold drinks and candy. All the travelers back on the old route stopping at the old filling stations like this. Another old car in the background here. Can't tell what it is, but it doesn't matter what it is. It just matters that it's here and you're getting a chance to look at it. 1930 Model A Ford Coupe with a rumble seat. There's your rumble seat, explorers. Right out in the open, riding in the dust and the dirt and the rain. Those cool orange wheels. Ivor Johnson motorcycles. Look at that old bike on the back. And these tricycles hanging from the ceiling. Pretty cool place, if you ask me. Well, explorers, we're going to wrap it up right now. Hope you've enjoyed this little trip down memory lane with Billy the Kid and the museum and all the extra things that we got to see today. We're going to be visiting his grave here in just a little bit, and we'll add this to the video. For now, have a great day, explorers. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Explorers, I'm back with you. We just left the Billy the Kid Museum and gift shop and had a real interesting conversation with the gentleman that was working there. He claimed he was 85 but looked about 60. But we're visiting where I said we'd end up. We are at Billy the Kid's elusive tombstone, his gravesite, here in Fort Sumner, New Mexico. Billy the Kid's tombstone was stolen in 1951 and its location was a mystery for 26 years. Until 1976 when it was recovered in Granbury, Texas by Joe Bolin. And it's now sitting here at the old Fort Sumner Museum. And we'll pan around and let you see it. That's it, explorers. You're looking at Billy the Kid's grave. William H. Bonney, alias Billy the Kid, died July 1800 and something. It's kind of destroyed there a little bit. Painted down there is his actual gravesite. He may have been a wild thing, but he's still alive, so we'll give him a moment of silence here. And finish the shot out with these beautiful red roses. And a quick pan around of the cemetery. There's more people that are buried here. It's a very small cemetery. It's still interesting. A lot of history. Like I say, explorers, get off the beaten path. Come to places that are off the interstates or off the highways. You'll be amazed at what you see and what you learn and the nice people that you meet and great conversations that you have. Something more than video games or a couch or a TV show or some kind of useless activity. Go see the world, explorers. And for now, signing off. Have a great day. Bye-bye.